Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to the Relentless Hierarchy Call, guys. We're going to switch it up a little bit and we're going to have our guest speaker hop on first. But guys, get flood group me, get everybody on, guys. Let's really have a push to get everybody on to hear what John's got to say. He's got pure value and he's been doing it for a while. So excited to hear from John and what he's got going on.
Let's see, unmute video. How's that?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
In?
You're
I
in.
got you, bro. I don't know where that other link took me, but it wasn't here.
That was our mess up. When you said Googling, my admin's like, oh gosh, here we go.
No, I was in Zoom, but it
Okay.
said it was a waiting room in Zoom. It was just a different link. I don't know. I'm here though, bro. I'm here.
Hey, real quick, guys, for those of you that don't know, John Wetmore, integrity partner, agency owner of FFL, Agent Force. John, been in the game a long time, man. Got a huge agency within FFL and one of the best to do it, man. You won't say that about yourself, but out there producing and building, there's really no one else that's doing it like you, bro. So excited to have you on. And man, if you could just kind of introduce yourself and what you guys are doing, and yeah, we'll kind of go from there, man. Appreciate you being.
I appreciate it, dude. What's crazy is like everywhere I go now, suddenly I'm like a veteran in this business and I feel like I'm new still. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like what y'all see. Because I was just a dude trying to freaking stop living paycheck to paycheck, what feels like yesterday. You know what I mean? A majority of my life I was broke. So I'm like, I appreciate all the kind words. I'm not confused. We're doing some cool stuff. I have figured out how to get halfway decent at this. And we've taught some people how to make a bunch of money. But for those that don't know, I run and manage FL Agent Force. We got, I don't know, 1,800 agents or whatever sold last month. I think if we're staying with the family thing, we helped, I don't know, 11,000 plus families last month.
Ooh.
You know, yeah. So we do some volume, dude. And, I got a lot of help. I definitely have a good squad of leaders and managers in the group and great staff. And, just a dude who had 5 kids, was broke and wanted to get out of a shitty situation 10 years ago, man. To be honest, insurance found me. A buddy hit me up and I started out super slow. I was terrible at sales. I was terrible at building. Everyone I hired, I scared away. I got kicked out of houses for the first year and a half all the time. But I had a desire to win, and I don't mind feedback. And thankfully, Sean was there. He does not hide the truth, and I can handle it. So between him and Killamat, they told me all the things I sucked at. I decided to change me and really focus on controlling what I can control, man. And I really wanted to get good at this business. I wanted to be what y'all see today. I wanted. Yeah. I mean, I've been chasing this, you know what I mean, to try to achieve big things in life and be a part of something cool. And I was very blessed, man, to be here at the beginning, day one of FFL. So this has been a ride, bro, and I've had a blast with it.
Yeah, and John, what I appreciate about you, man, I was telling Alondra the other day, we got to spend some time with you last week, which was great. But we saw you at our first convention and you broke down everything, man. You kept track of all your numbers from when you started, how much leads you spent to each month. Yeah. Like there wasn't anybody that really had done that, or at least shared that they were doing that. Can you explain just from like when you started, like what was your mindset? Because we got a lot of people that are just trying to make it work, right? They are struggling financially, and we're it's a dogfight every month, right? And can you just kind of share like what did you do to get from that point and elevate that over the next 90 days?
Yeah. So I'm always really honest with people. I never didn't make money in this business. You know what I'm saying? Now, I didn't have a high threshold, dude. I was making 40 grand a year as an accountant before insurance. But I made 60. Y'all mute out what I'm not supposed to say because I'm just going to say it all. It is what it is. Don't put it on the internet. How about that? I made 60 grand, dude, my first year part-time at a 55 comp at a previous company. You know what I mean? So it's not because I was good. It's because I was consistent. I was running 10 appointments a week part-time for over a year while I had a full-time job, 5 kids, hour and a half commute. I ran 10 appointments a week every week for 52 weeks. I picked up, dude, 2 apps a week, app, 1, 2, maybe 3 apps on a great week. But it's like, again, 6 or 8 or 10 apps a month. I made $5 grand. It wasn't crazy difficult to do that. Well, I didn't feel like I was lighting the world on fire, and I was not good, dude. But I was so consistent. And people were like, how are you so consistent? You know what else I was consistent on? My accounting job. I showed up every day. I got up at 4:30, left my house at 5:30, commuted an hour and a half, worked till 4, drove home every single day. I picked up my kids at daycare every day. I took them to school every day. Like, I didn't forget that stuff. I did that consistently too. I brushed my teeth every day. I ate every day. I got gas in the car when it needed it. We got groceries consistently. So to me, like, the consistency thing is, dude, I think y'all are lying to yourselves. We're consistent with a lot of stuff, you know? So I was like, why not just be consistent with this too? I never had that struggle with. Now, I wasn't high activity at the beginning. I didn't understand the amount of activity it took to do what a guy like Mark Mead or Matt or Paul or Andrew, those were the guys when I started. They were killing it. I didn't understand the difference in activity, but I was consistent when I was part-time. What I really looked at, man, and I did track everything mainly because I'm an accountant, not because I tell agents that's the magic. Like, if you don't need to track, don't track. It's all good. But if you're like a train wreck and you want to see some reality, dude, keep track of some stuff for a week or two. You'll be like, oh snap. You'll see some stuff. You know what I mean? I just track stuff and I look at it, and to me it paints a picture. You know, it tells a story for me. But what I looked at, man, my part-time year, and I bet I could, I still have the spreadsheets, dude. I could pull them up in 2 seconds. But I looked at my part-time year. It was when FFL first started. I was 3 months full-time into the business in December 13. And I looked at my part-time year, and I was making like 300 dials like a month, dude. It was terrible. And I was running, again, 8, 10, whatever appointments a week. But when I did the math and I looked at what I was depositing, caught $5,000 at 300 dials, like, someone can do the math. The spreadsheet said I was making $17 every time I dialed the phone, regardless of what happened. You know what I mean? For me, I was like, when I saw that, I was like, what the hell? Like, that's insane. Because on my job, dude, I wasn't making $17 an hour as an accountant. You know what I'm saying? So when I looked at that, actually, I have it right here, dude. I wish I should share this with you. I can't help it. I like looking at it. I pull up, I was making $16.58 per dial. And when I looked at that, and then I looked at my appointments, let me see how many appointments I was running. Hold on. I will literally tell you. I ran 413 for the year. So it's 36 a month.
Wow.
I mean, it's not part-time, dude. You know what I mean? So when I look at that, and again, what I closed, however many apps I closed, but again, for me, the $17 a dial thing changed my world, because I was super emotional. You know, I was like, when I got hung up on, I'd get mad. I'd try to argue with them about the signature they put on the form, and this is the way you sign it, and you put your date here, and your wife's name is this, and you must have filled it. And I would argue with people. And then they would argue back, and I'm from Boston, and I'm a pain in the ass, and I would yell at them, and I'd cuss, and it was no good for anyone, you know, and I'd miss sales and I'd get frustrated. And when I saw what I was making with all that accounted for, because I was smart enough to go, all right, the dials and the deposits equals all the BS is included. When I went, I'm making $17 a dial no matter what happens, even the ones that told me to F off, dude, it changed my world. I was like, I put in all that emotion, and I'm making $17 every time I call someone. And again, I had a 55 comp, bro. I can't imagine what yours is if you did the math. You know what I mean? Or today, like Twardowski's, like, dude, his was through the roof. What Easton's is today, guys like that. So for me, I looked at it, and I remember I was trying, and the sign behind me is like my world. This is what I changed. I remember, and the evolution of this is, I was looking at the spreadsheet, and in the meantime, I was trying to figure out, you know how you get agents that are like, they mess up on the phone or mess up in a sale, and instead of calling more, they then go to a training video to try to figure out how to overcome that one objection, and they'll spend 2 hours on videos trying to figure it out. Dude, I did stuff like that, you know, or I'd miss a sale, the 72-year-old senior with a $300,000 mortgage. Dude, I'd miss it, and then I'd want to watch 9 videos on it. And I remember looking at this sheet, and I went, what if I just did a calculation? What if I just did more now and got better later? What would that look like? And I took $17 a dial, and I said, instead of making this many, do this many. And the appointments came out to, I was making $300 an appointment. That's what the math per appointment came out to. So I was like, what if I just did more? Again, instead of 36 appointments a month, what if I ran 120 with the same skill set, bro? Because Mark issued that year, I want to say he issued 450 that year, or first year for 2014. And Matt somewhere, Paul, Andrew, they were the Hall of Fame type guys. There was only a few. So and they were all running. I remember I talked to Mark and he was running at the time 90. He told me how many appointments we were texting. And I said, how many appointments you run in a month? He said 90 plus. And I was like, all right, well, I ain't Mark. What if I run 30 a week, 120 a month? And I literally did the math and I was like, dude, I can suck as much as I suck now. I can get hung up on as often as I get hung up on now. I can get kicked out of whatever many houses. If I go from 36 appointments a month to 120 a month, the math says I'll make this. And I ain't never seen no number like that, bro. So I was like, F it. I'm gonna just start doing more. I'll worry about getting better another day. And my whole world changed. And dude, within 30 days, bro, I was issuing 40K a month overnight. Became Hall of Fame producer, started getting traction growing, and y'all hear all the good stories. I'm like, you missed the first 2.5 years of disaster where no one knew me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's literally all I did. And now I built this after, because I always tell people to do more, which I literally think you should do more. But the doing more, like the discipline, there's discipline to that. It's like ownership, which I always tell people really means own your shit. Like just own your shit, because you have it, I have it, we all have it. Mistakes, go be willing to make them, be obsessed with the business and getting better, be resilient when you deal with stuff, go through it, and expectations. Like what Mark asked me when I was running 36 appointments a month, you know what he said? He was like, why do you expect my result with your work ethic? Because my expectations were off, dude. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I live by this, dude. I teach my staff this, I teach every agent this. Like I literally mean do more. But to me, there's a meaning behind it also. You know, and these are the things that I put in place to change. And I'm telling you, dude, it changed overnight. I was the part-time accountant for 2.5 years. And then it became what y'all see. You know what I mean?
Guys, I hope you're taking some notes on that, because I mean, and it's real life stuff. I think we've all been there. But John, what I like, and what I think a lot of agents, it's funny, you justified why you should go harder in the business, right? I think a lot of people try to justify why they're just getting by, and they allow themselves to continue to do that, which in turn, like John, if you kept doing 60,000 a year, right, with FFL, you would have burned out 2-3 years, right? After that third year, you've been like, dude, why am I going to continue to do this?
I thought about quitting.
Yeah. Why is it people justify the opposite way? Like you justify like, hey man, I'm only getting this, instead of I'm not just double, triple down and go make it happen. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny? You know what I think when you say that? Because I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Those agents that you're referring to, they're really good at sales, because they've convinced themselves why they shouldn't move. And they're just asking people like me and you and their circle to validate it with their bullshit excuses. Does it make sense? So I actually have a lot of faith in those people, because I'm like, you've sold yourself that's the reason you're failing. That's pretty good, because you're with yourself every day. You know you're full of crap. I knew I was full of crap, dude. I knew I wasn't working hard. Does that make sense? Did I try to convince myself I was? Obviously. We all do that. You know what I'm saying? So I sold myself harder than I sold anybody else. And I'm like, I hear you. I ain't saying you're wrong with this lead problem, this client problem, this objection problem. I'm not saying those things are wrong. But dude, anything that I give you that you could say in a house, let's come up with the best objection overcomer possible. We'll take Matt Smith and we'll merge him with Mark Mead and smash some Sean Mike on top and put Paul McLean from the bottom and come up with the best objection handler ever. What percentage of the time is that going to work? Best case scenario. It ain't 100. Half? I don't know. 70, 60, 40, 50. I don't know. Hey, what percentage of the time, if you run double the appointments, will you make more money?
100%.
Hey, what if you run enough appointments to where you don't care what the objections are? How often does that work?
100%.
Every single time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, why would I not go with the odds first? And then you want to get better? Dude, get better. Who cares? I ain't mad at the want to get better. but why do we always want to get better first?
Wow. Dude, it's funny, John, like when you talk and you kind of tell me your story, I feel like Alondra was a little better than me early on. She wanted it more. That was all it was. But I feel like I have the same thing, man. It was like, it took me 16 months to kind of get my head on straight. Cause I'm like, dude, what are we doing? Right. Like I'm making 30 grand at the restaurant a year. Like, why am I, how am I justifying my own excuses to continue to do that? Right.
Yeah.
It's just, it's crazy.
It's because we're human, dude. We're wired. Like, you got to understand, we're wired. So, dude, we're all jacked up. Let's be clear. Does that make sense? Can we all say we have that? There's an even playing field there. Yeah. We all got stuff in life. We all got hurdles. We all got, like, that's the ownership thing. Like we all got it. So just own it. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all don't think I got stuff? Stop. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why are we using that to say why we're not where we want to be? It's so we can validate and feel like it's not our fault, because we're wired that way up here. And we're so up here that I can do that. Sorry, I just took off my AirPod. You can still hear me, right? All right, cool. It took off my AirPod, so I apologize. I'm just going to keep talking. The mind is so powerful that we can convince ourselves one thing, but at the same time, I can look at it and know I'm full of crap to myself. Mm-hmm. So the question is, when you know you're full of crap to yourself, are you going to buy it? Or are you going to, you know, that like, y'all are a lot younger than me. I know some people will understand. I don't know if they had cartoons when you were a kid where they had the thing on each shoulder, or it's like the devil and the angel type, you know what I'm saying? Yep. I remember like Tweety Bird and stuff that would happen, Bugs, all those cartoons. But it's like, we're like that to ourselves. We are both sides. So the question is, when you're the wrong side, can this side catch it and go, stop being a dipshit, dude, get out of your own way? And that's all that I think most of us changed, is we accept the things that we're doing to ourselves to hold ourselves back. You know what I'm saying? It's like, everybody's heard control the controllables. Like, again, I'm not disagreeing that the client did something, the agent did something, the lead, whatever. Like, I see it, but I just don't care, because I can't control that. You know what I'm saying? And for anyone that comes to me and they're like, but the client, but the external blame, I literally don't care. I don't care, because I can't fix it. And if you're going to get so caught up on that, like, why are we even talking? Like, what's the point? Can we talk about what we can fix and what we can control? And we can control our own behavior, dude. I'm not saying it's easy every day. It's work every day, dude. Every day. You know, so I think if more people would just own it, bro, and look at it like, what piece of this is caused because of me? You know, and I had to look at it, dude. Again, I was 35 and actually 2.5 years, I was 30, 2015, I was 38 by the time I really started killing it here. 38 and broke. You know who was the only person on earth with me all 38 years? So I'm the only one who's seen the whole ride, bro. So I had to go like, damn, this must be my fault somehow. You know what I mean? And the blame feels good because we're human, and internally it does something with like chemicals and it makes us feel good. I'm not smart enough to explain it, but that's the same reason why people do dumb shit too. The chemical feed. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. And John, I think it's funny. Like, when I was talking to you, last week, trying to overcomplicate it, like, hey, what are we doing? What do you do? What's going on? It's kind of like, dude, you're either, you simplified it in a way. I was like, well, why are we overcomplicating this thing? Right? Get a crayon, write them on a napkin, write down your people you got. Like, that's what, don't overcomplicate this. Can you kind of share with the team, like what you told me? Cause I think we could literally organically double, in the next 30, 60 days. Just by what you told me, because I think people are skipping the basic stuff and overcomplicating everything. Yeah. Hey, you know how easy it is for your group to double? You know how simple it is? Literally. You know what has to happen? Everyone on your team just brings one. Hey, and if we did less, it'd be 0. So if everyone just brought 1, your whole team doubles. And we want to come up with all these fancy systems and process and recruiting things. I'm like, you tell me you can't find one human being who wants to do what you're trying to do, whether you've done it yet or not. Even if you're new and you're like, I don't know how. You see something or you wouldn't be here. You tell me everyone on your team can't
Find one person to give the same opportunity that you have to someone else. Just one. Just one. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's like, can we get better at systems and all the other stuff? Sure. Can I make it do all kinds of automated things and be fancy? Yeah, I mean, I can. But dude, I didn't build it that way. You know what I'm saying? It's like now we can do some stuff and I can be more efficient and effective. But again, there's so many people. It's the same concept, dude. There's a lot of managers. There's probably someone on here that knows how to sell a lot of insurance. And then gets frustrated with the building side and they're blaming the agents for whatever. They don't do this. They don't get on training. They don't call me back. They don't listen. They don't, whatever it is. And the funny thing is, dude, I always ask managers that are trying to recruit, and I'm like, all right, if you or an agent misses a sale, whose fault is it? The agent, right? So then if an agent doesn't succeed, is it the agent's fault or the manager's fault?
It's both, isn't it?
Do you want to blame external or do you want to own it?
Well, I would own it. I mean,
So it's the manager's fault, right? Client, agent, manager. It's the same role. The managers who are not growing are blaming external. They're blaming the agent. They're blaming the person. They're doing the thing that drives them most crazy about the agent. The agent blames the client. The manager gets mad, but yet the manager blames the client, blames the agent. And I'm like, why are you telling him to own his crap, but you don't own your crap? You know what I'm saying? Meaning, did you set clear enough expectations? I don't know. I would bet not. Did you ask questions to get to know your agent? Did you build any kind of relationship with him to be able to tell him the truth when he's not doing things right? Did you walk him through the path? Did you help him with a lead plan? Do you even know his situation at all? Do you know anything? Think financial inventory, right? If an agent doesn't do financial inventory with a client, it's going to be harder to sell. I'm not saying impossible, but it's definitely harder. So now think manager, are they doing the equivalent of setting expectations in a home like we do in a home? And are they doing the equivalent of financial inventory, meaning getting to know their agent, understanding the problem so they can solve something? Or are they just throwing people against the wall, hoping it sticks? I'm 100% sure I know the answer for most. You know what I'm saying? And it's that blame part, dude. There's so many people trying to build here. And when I ask that question, dude, I have people argue with me that it's the agent's fault. And I'm like, I'm not having that argument. I ain't saying they're doing everything perfect. But what I'm saying is, what could you have controlled to change the way they behave? You know what I'm saying? To change their expectations. And if more of us could get there, because we're there on one side of the business. If I say with a client, we understand we messed up. But if I say with an agent, suddenly we didn't mess up, I'm like, if we could do that more, dude, you'd grow a lot faster.
Not let yourself off the hook.
Nah, dude. And most managers are, again, why? Because we're human, bro. And that's that thing. And they just haven't figured it out in that dynamic. You know, I'll give another one with growth. Like most top producers, really good with clients. Doesn't matter if they're sitting with you or they're sitting with my mom. Does it make sense? Very different people, very different conversations. Or if you're sitting with someone in Georgia or you're sitting with someone from New York City, different, you handle it different. We're dynamic, we shift. We don't let them see our life's frustrations. Does that make sense? We go into the house and we turn a switch on. We're on. We're in agent client mode, right? Then we leave the house and we pick up and we call an agent. Dude, are we dynamic anymore? Or are we one trick pony? Do we let them see our frustrations? I bet we do. Do we handle the younger agent different than the older agent? Or do we tell them the same exact thing? Do we yell at them the same way? Are we handling it? Are we dynamic anymore? Wow. Right? It's like we leave the house and we turn that switch off. And I'm like, why do you have this amazing skill set with people when you're sitting with clients? There's a lot of high-end producers, dude, that can't build worth of crap because they're so good in a sales situation. And then somehow they come with agents and they don't think they're in a sales situation anymore. I'm like, why don't you just bring that skill set over here? Use it all day long. But now with agents, if they aren't doing exactly this, I was this dude, everyone, they would know I was pissed. They would know I was frustrated, you know, and I had to learn to like stay on all the time. Think an athlete. Or like my favorite one is do y'all ever watch shows like not like what do you call them? Like Broadway shows? You ever been to one of those?
No.
Dude, I'm not a big fan, but I watched I saw someone type in here, the one that they rap, super, super popular one, and they rap like the history of like the US. It's Hamilton. This show Hamilton. I went and saw it with Mark and some other dudes. And I'm not a show guy, but if you put rap in it, I'll watch anything.
Is that an East Coast thing?
I'm from the hood, dude. I like rap. It is what it is. But Hamilton was like a hugely, hugely popular show. They toured all over the place, massive, massive show. And they literally rap about the history of like the first presidents and how the country was created. It's wild. And the thing I always notice there is like they perform live twice a day. They do 2 shows a day live every day of the week. Do you not think they got life going on? And they get up on stage and dude, they perform, bro. You don't know they got backstage girlfriend problems. You don't know like someone in their family's sick. You don't know none of that. They get on stage and they perform, bro. You know, and if I were watching them as a consumer and they didn't perform, or I'm watching a sports game and you don't perform at a high level, you're on my fantasy team, I'm frustrated that you aren't performing at this level. My expectations of you when you're serving me are crazy high. But now if I'm performing in my career, do y'all have the same expectations of yourself in this business as you do the guys on your fantasy team or the person on your favorite show you watch or whatever, the chef at the restaurant you eat at? If he doesn't make your steak perfect, think how frustrated you are. Down in the South, dude, you bring someone unsweet tea instead of sweet tea, people lose their mind. Right?
Yeah.
But yet, own script, I'll wing it. Training, like, dude, there's 136 people on here. I ain't mad. But like, we have thousands. So there's a lot of people going like, I'll wing it. But dude, bring me sweet tea instead of unsweet and I lose my mind. So it's like the expectations of yourself. Are you holding yourself as accountable as you expect others when they're serving you? You know what I'm saying? So it's just.
And John, I'm sure you've agreed early on, you didn't set the right expectations when you brought agent on early. And then you're frustrated when they roll you some debt and you're like, well, where did this come from? How could they do this to me? Because you were working with the wrong people the whole time. Because we didn't do the right work on the front end.
Correct. It's just like in-home. Why do you get objections?
We didn't do
Like,
it right.
and yeah, you did something wrong up front. Right? So we adjust our front. So we avoid, again, let's teach you how to overcome objections. Great. How about we prevent them? That's better. So same thing with onboarding. Like if the agents aren't following what you expect them to, right? The frustration in anything. I use this stuff in life, bro. Frustration for me comes from expectations. You know what I'm saying? And expectations tend to come from a lack of clarity. Right? If we have an expectation and mine is different than yours, it's because there's not clarity between you and I. That's it. Now, how do I control that? If I ask you questions, it provides us both clarity. Right? And if I'm unclear, I just keep asking more questions till I am clear. And that clarity is what makes this thing easier, dude. I'm not saying I know how to get every agent to perform great, because I don't have a freaking clue. But I know sure as shit how to tell an agent what they need to do to have success. And if they don't do these things, leave me out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's how the business works. Here's what you can expect. Like, I can provide clarity to people and I can ask questions to have understanding of what you're willing to do, what you're willing to sacrifice, what your work ethic is like. I can just ask you a lot of questions and know who you are pretty quick. And then I can adjust my expectations. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think I think all those things you said, especially about the debt, man. It's like the agent didn't know what happened if they didn't pay, if they get a chargeback and don't pay it. Again, is that the agent's fault or is it your fault? I mean, the agent didn't read the paperwork. Okay. My agents don't read the paperwork either, but I tell them. You know what I'm saying? I get, so now when I have that conversation about debt, it's not the first conversation. It's like, hey, remember at the beginning when I explained how all this worked, that you're getting a loan on your money? They're advancing, it's literally a loan. And I told you not to spend it if you don't work enough, but you spent it. And then I told you, remember the part where I said, if you don't run enough appointments to write more deals to pay off the chargeback, they're going to call you for the money. And then this is the part that I'm calling you for. I know you remember the part where we talked about if you don't pay it, you remember who they charge? You remember they take it from me, bro. And I'm 100% sure I asked you if you're the type of guy that handles your bills, and you told me you do. So, bro, I need you to call America right now and make sure you work out a payment plan, okay? And then we're good. I can go down that road. It's easier to go down that road when it's not a first discussion. And I've spent all this time getting to know them, building a relationship with them. Now, they ain't doing anything, dude. I'm not trying to build an awkward relationship that ain't there. But, you know, I've got to spend time doing that. And I don't want those types of things to be the first time I'm having those conversations. Or if they're, and you can apply that to any piece of it. We aren't getting on trainings. We aren't showing up to BOMs. We aren't getting on this call. We aren't doing ABC. When you're frustrated, that should not be the first pass through on that conversation. If it is, that's the piece you messed up.
Wow.
Again, think in home. I want to think about it. Hey, Mary, didn't you just say a minute ago, if Bob died, you'd have to move to Kentucky with your mom and take the kids out of private school? That's a way easier push than if you don't know that. You know what I'm saying? You go back to the words they gave you. And it's the same concept, dude. It's the same theory. It's not, that's the beauty is, if you know how to sell, you know how to build. You're just not using the skill set and applying it. You know what I mean?
Wow. Instead of saying, you know, what do you need to think about? It's, they already gave us what they, you know.
Correct. You know the answer. You know, so again, I try to, and how do you learn those things? By seeing a lot of people. How do I learn how to think about all the things you're frustrated with agents? Well, if you're recruiting all the time, that means you're always having fresh conversations. So if agent A is having a debt problem today, doesn't that mean for the rest of the time, all the agents you're talking to up front, you're having this conversation here with the new ones? Like, I can't fix this one. It's already gone. It is what it is. But up front now, we can handle it. If you notice your agents don't take your training seriously and you're frustrated with a guy here, wouldn't that mean on tomorrow's recruiting call, that's something you cover on the interview? If this guy's not being coachable, right? Wouldn't that mean like later on when you're recruiting, you go like, hey, I'm looking for people who are coachable. Don't be like this guy, be like this guy. You know what I'm saying?
You make it so easy, but it really is. It's just, we're not doing the work on the front end. Again,
We're not being intentional. It's the intentionality, dude, that's missing, you know?
Wow. John, that was probably the fastest 35 minutes I've had someone on a call. You ripped it. Is there anything you could leave the team with, man? I know I got a full page of notes. I'm sure everybody else does, but you know, the newest agent, John, that's struggling, first 30, 60, 90, how are we doubling?
I would say, yeah, one, I want to let that new agent know that you have the same exact opportunity that Josh and I had and have. You literally have the same opportunity. You know, what I've been trying to help people understand, man, is this business has been around for a long time. It ain't like this business is new, right? And people have been making great money in this business forever. And I don't remember if I talked to you about this or not, but I talked to a few people about it there when we were on that trip. And I talk about it a lot. Like, dude, technology didn't even exist 30 years ago, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, at all. There was nothing. You couldn't be in the car on the road and call a client. You couldn't fax anything to anyone. You couldn't scan. You couldn't do no technology. And dude, guys like A.L. Williams built massively successful companies with no technology at all whatsoever. And then we got people coming in here new. I had someone moaning that they weren't having success because their like Ringy account wouldn't set up right.
Right.
I'm like, dude, I wish I knew A.L. Williams. I'd be like, hey, bro, what do you think about Ringy holding someone back? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, you have an insane opportunity. And I was at a building talking about this with someone. We were overlooking like the city. I think I was in Dallas. I was overlooking Dallas on a high rise. And I was like, you see all those people out there? See all the people? Like imaginary. Look out the window, overlook whatever city you're in. All the people out there. What percentage of them are going to die? So what percentage of them need our product? Now, what's the barrier between you and all those people? It's just your willingness to go get them. That's it. We have the product. We have an unlimited client. For the rest of time, we have an unlimited client. I don't know another industry that has unlimited clients for the rest of time. I can't think of another one. Just the question is, are you willing to go out and get it? Or are you going to continue to try to use some kind of excuses to validate why you're not having success? Someone on this call, bro, is going to take it and run with it. And 12 months from now will be a Hall of Fame producer. Someone else new on this call is going to quit and be working in an office somewhere miserable. So the question is, which one are you? And when you're the one that stays in Hall of Fame, remind me of it in a year. Tag me, say what's up. You know what I mean? Like, I like hearing those stories. So I think take the opportunity that's given to you and run with it, you know, and execute daily. And every day you got decisions to make. And those decisions are either going to take you further towards your goals or they're going to set you back. And we have hundreds of decisions a day to make, dude. Life is complex, yet it's simple at the same time, man. You know, so just look at the decisions you make every day. Someone's going to get off this. Someone's going to close this thing right now and go pick up the phone and recruit someone. And someone else is going to close this thing and go sit on the couch and watch Netflix. Both are going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like, which one are you? So I just tell people, man, go out and execute. And someone new, you have a ridiculous opportunity sitting at your fingertips. I was new once too. You were new once too. Wanda was new once too. We're all new. I just wanted it bad enough that I went out and got it. You know, and when it got hard, I didn't quit. It's hard today. Dude, I wanted to quit today, just to be really transparent. I got stuff happening in my office. I literally called Zach and I'm like, dude, can I quit? We were like, what if we just go buy real estate instead?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, no, we're not really going to quit, but I definitely had a moment of weakness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cut it out. Like, I'm here to solve problems. Let me just go fix it and move on with the day. You know what I'm saying? But my point is that stuff doesn't go away. So if you're thinking selling a bunch of insurance, making a bunch of money makes problems go away, you're going to be miserable forever because they don't go away. So now can you build something inside of you to learn how to get through tough times? You know what I mean? And go through it anyway. And you don't have to be perfect every day, every moment, but a large majority of the time, you're going to have to make really quality decisions that take you further towards where you want to go. So.
Don Wetmore, you're the man. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for getting on. And team, hey, blow up the chat, man. Appreciate you. Johnny, you killed it, bro. Anything I can do for you, please let me know. But tell Steph I said hi and yeah, man, appreciate you.
I definitely will. If I can help with anybody, let me know. Hit me up on social if I can help later.
Later, bro.
See you.